Welcome back, everyone, to Mostly Car Stuff with me, Garrett Weinzierl, and him, Patrick Jester, a.k.a. Octane Pro if you follow his butt on Twitter. I don't have a handle. I'm a person.
How's it going, man?
It's going all right. How you doing? We're coming back. I'm pretty happy with how quickly we've come back for an episode, what with me having to deal with a hurricane. And, well, you didn't really have an excuse, but that's my excuse.
No, it's definitely good. I'm happy to be back. It's nice to get this going. Episode 5, when you start a new podcast, you're always kind of iffy, is it going to kick off? Is it going to be fluid? Is it going to work? And I'm glad we're getting to that number 5, a little milestone here. Long way to go, but excited to keep things going.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey man, what's going on with you and you're trying to, have you sold your WRX? Is WRX still in the garage?
So the WRX is still in the garage. Those of you guys that joined us for episode 4, you heard that I am selling my Subaru WRX. It's an 05, decent amount of work done to it to the point where it needed to be dyno tuned and everything like that. And it's going well, but it's not going great trying to sell it. Running into quite a few challenges. So it's a decently modified car. Stock turbo, stock injector, stock fuel pump, stock intercooler, stock one. So it's still reliable in that regard. And I've put it on Auto Trader. It's on Craigslist. It's on a page called, like an app called Offers Up. It's kind of like a garage sale style app that a lot of people use up here. And then also an app called Let's Go. And I've had a lot of interest in it. Like people asking questions, but not enough people coming out to see it. I've only had 3 people come out to see it, and each of the people that came out to see it were like kind of shopping options, but weren't fully into it. So like if it was me looking at a car down the street and I was like, oh, that would be really cool, let me go check it out, but wasn't fully into purchasing it. So I started the price out actually really high at like $20,000. And I took it down to 18, and now I'm down to 16. So I've dropped it $4,000 since I started selling it. And so it's a struggle. It's a struggle because all the other cars that are 05 WRXs are significantly less because, one, the mileage is incredibly less. Most of the cars you look at that are 05 have like 140,000 miles on it. Mine's got 68 on the body and the trans, and it's only got 13 on the motor. So like my challenge here is pricing it is extremely difficult because there is no option for on Kelley Blue Book or on Auto Trader to help value the car when it's like, oh yeah, the motor, oh yeah, it's only got 13,000 miles on it. Because you have to be honest and say kind of what the body has on it, what the trans has on it.
Because that's what's going to be on the Odo and odometer, and that's what they're going to see when they jump in the car.
Exactly. And I could advertise it and be like, it has 13,000 miles on it, but that would be misleading as well. So, right. I have it set at the mileage that's on the body and the trans. And then in of course, the description I have, why the motor had a rebuild and what the current mileage is of it. But it's a struggle at this point, but I don't want to take lower than 16. I don't want to drop it even lower than that at this point.
Well, do you think that the issue is that the discrepancy in miles that the body and the transmission have X and the engine has Y, or do you think it's that it's a modded Subaru? And
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, when I search for Subarus, my requirement is it cannot be modded because of the fact that you don't know of the quality of the modifications that are done on the car. Now, granted, I do say in my listing that all the modifications were reviewed by IAG in Maryland. There was a boost leak test, and there was also a compression test done before the dyno tune. So I was hoping that would bring some type of comfort to it, to be like, okay, great. Even though this guy installed all the modifications, it's been looked over by a professional high-speed shop, and but the 2 tests that are extremely required worked out well. So that is the one side of it, and the other side is, yes, the fact that, it needed a rebuild. If I was looking at that, I might go, oh, maybe it's a little less reliable than what I want because it's needed a rebuild so far. But at the other end of the spectrum, a rebuild's a good thing, because then you're just getting a more longevity out of the car. So I hit up a neighbor down the road that we know, and their house is on the backside of their house is on a very busy road in the area, and they've given me permission to start to put it there with for sale signs. So I'm hoping I'm going to get more traffic there. Auto Trader has flopped for me, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's because of the amount of traffic on there or the lack of quality, because I've gotten like text messages with like scammers that are like, hey, I'm interested in your car. I'd like you to ship it to me. I live over in Germany. Can I send you a like those scams that.
Okay, but is Craigslist any better? You're probably at people soliciting sex at this point if you're on Craigslist. And,
I've had people calling me, marketing companies calling me, being like, they're like, hi, is your Subaru still for sale? I'm like, yes, it is, yes. And then they're like, we'd like to talk to you about marketing it with our company. And I'm like, click. So
this is true of, dude, come on, you work on the internet. This is true of damn near anything you do. The first time I ever launched a Kickstarter, my God, my inbox was just a trash heap. There was so much spam, so many people wanting to sell you stuff on a project that you haven't even successfully funded yet. That this isn't surprising me in the least, even though I've never actually listed a car on AutoTrader before. But for whatever, this doesn't surprise me. It seems like something you probably should have expected.
Like, you have to see through the scam and through the BS. And so my biggest value, I parked it outside my company, which is in the automotive industry. So that I got some good hits on from that, some good questions, some good follow-ups. But I think the best point's going to be for me is putting it outside on this major road, because my house is on like a back road. Putting it by a major road, I think, will be of huge value during rush hour. It's very busy, so it's like perfect. And unfortunately, it doesn't get backed up, which would be great, because then like cars are slowly going by. You know, if cars were backed up there, it'd be perfect. But we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping by next show that I have an update to be like, yeah, that was a huge success.
This will be the only time in your life where you're wishing for poor traffic. Poor traffic. Right? Yeah, oh man, if there was just a horrible traffic jam on a main road I use every day on a daily basis, it would make my life so much easier.
Exactly. But what's new with you? What you been up to recently?
So on the last episode I was talking about how after taking the Mustang in for its first oil change, yes, I do not change my own oil because I'm lazy. They took a look at the tires. I hadn't really had the car looked at since I purchased it, and they're like, "Hey, just so you know, car looks great. Your tires should have been replaced 3 months ago." So I talked about that on the last episode, and I said I was starting to look at wheels and whatnot, because I would love to have wider wheels on this car. Also, to just not have the cheapest stock rims that you can get on a 2015 Mustang, because that is what is on this car. But really what it came down to was I could not justify to myself spending the kind of money that you need to spend to get quality wheels and tires at the same time, because I'm not going to stay at the stock size. So I'm going to need new tires at the same time. So I just couldn't slice it. It didn't matter. I've spent pretty much all the amount of time from the last time we recorded up until a week or two ago shopping for wheels. I was even looking on eBay for like a good used find, and it wasn't panning out. So I was like, screw it. I need to take this thing on a road trip, so I guess I'm buying new tires. So I ended up just going and buying tires for the wheels that are already on the car. But I got 4 new Falcon ZXZ ZE 950s. And they are all-season tires, but they are way better than bald tires.
Do you feel like you're getting better grip with them already since they're put on?
It's like driving a whole new car.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Cause, I bought the car, drove it off the lot, didn't really look at the tires all that much, because who cares? It was the best deal on the Mustang by thousands of dollars that I could find anyway, so I didn't really care if the tires were shot. And, was out there trying to have fun with it. It was like, yeah, it's a Mustang, time for a first gear pull, and the second you shift into second, the thing just wants to kill you. Yeah. And it turns out because the freaking tires were bald. So now that I have these new tires on, it's, oh my God, it's such a blast to drive. It's no issue whatsoever getting this thing up to red line and shifting in a second and so on and so forth. Now it's just more dangerous from a getting tickets perspective as opposed to a life endangerment perspective.
Can't help you there.
No, it's you rev out first and that's it. You're done. You are done unless you're on a highway.
No one buys a Mustang to go the speed limit. Let's be honest here.
I I find myself driving like such an a-hole since getting that car. It's pretty
Go
ridiculous.
back to driving the BRZ or the FRS. I'm sorry,
Well,
FRS for
yeah,
you.
I mean, you drive like an a-hole in the FRS. You're still doing the speed limit, but you're going fast around turns while you're picking up your pizza or your groceries, and it feels fun. Whereas this, you're just. I got. So here's how immature I am. The other day, Katie and I were out shopping. We're in a parking lot, and the person in front of me does that thing that drives everyone crazy. So they see someone they know in the store. They're out in the main lane out in front of the store, and they just stop, roll down their window, and proceed to have a full-on conversation while blocking traffic. So normally, what I would do in any other car I've owned, go around them, give them a little beep as hey, you made me angry.
You did it, didn't you?
But now I have an 8-cylinder, Patrick. Now I have a clutch that I can push in and rev the shit out of my car and make it really loud as I go by. And that's exactly what I did.
That's awesome.
And I'm a child.
That's great.
I'm a freaking child. Katie just looks at me and she's like, "Is that what you do when people make you mad now? You literally growl at them with the car?" And I'm like, yes, that's what I do.
See, you could have gone to the extreme. You could have pulled up next to them and waved, and then pushed in the clutch and floored it, and then slowly let out the clutch and just started burning out right there.
No, that's a really good way to make any police officer in the area notice you.
Extreme. I said extreme.
No, I don't know. I just as you go by, you just let them know, hey, you pissed me off.
Yep. So anything else going on?
I mean, just the hurricane, pretty much. Had to really kind of barricade. Ended up barricading the garage real well for Hurricane Irma because we were concerned for both our cars. Went and picked up. Oh, I hauled a ton of sandbags in the Mustang. I was really stoked. The suspension's pretty solid on that thing. It didn't look like I had probably 300 pounds of sandbags in the back of the car. It was great. Yeah, I filled that up so we could barricade the garage in case there was any flooding going on. Have multiple windows in the garage, as a matter of fact, so I had to board those up, as well as the house, obviously. But for the purposes of the show, I'm focusing on what we did to protect the cars.
On the garage right away. He's like, the garage is good, guys. Oh yeah, the house too. I took care of that.
I get so many tweets of people like, yeah, we know your house is safe. How's the Mustang? And I'm just like, dude, it's fine. That was the first thing we did, was make sure that the cars were okay. We brought our so apparently, I didn't know this. I've been through a few hurricanes. I didn't know this. One of the most common issues with hurricanes is that they will buckle in your garage door from the wind speed.
Oh yeah.
And just send them flying. So I was reading online that one thing you can do is just, drape a towel or a big blanket over the back of your car and actually back your car up and straight up against the garage. So if it does buckle in, instead of having a bunch of space to go and hammer into your car, it just kind of hits and stops. So we did that. We have even ended up bringing in our big garbage cans and using those as in between the car and the garage door.
Oh, that's a good plan. I've never heard of that before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We ended up being super lucky. There was no damage to the garage door or anything in the house. We lost a tiny piece of siding on the roof, which is going to cost like $2 to fix. It's not a big problem.
Big spender.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be slightly more than that, but it's not a big deal. But it was just fun. And I was talking to you before the hurricane, and we were talking about all the ridiculous things that we've been seeing online, the ways people try and save their cars when they're expecting flooding from something like a hurricane. And the one I love that you sent to me, where people buy 4 jacks and jack their car up like an extra foot just in case there's a foot of standing water in their garage. I thought that was hilarious. Or if you have ramps or anything of that nature, that works too. And if you're the most badass of garage owners, maybe you have a lift and you just lift the damn thing up. But
how great would that be? You're like, guys, my car is good. I got it up about 6 feet. I'm not worried at all.
I remember. So I grew up out in the country in high school, really close to a major river here in Florida. And I remember one of the first times visiting a neighbor and going down. They had a 2-story house, and the bottom room was mostly just like a hangout area. The father had a bar down there and a pool table. And I look up at the roof above the pool table, and there are 4 pulleys. I'm like, what the hell's that for? He's like, well, when it floods, when there's standing water in here, we just pulley up the pool table and it stays dry. And I'm like, there's awesome. Standing water in your house? What? And total culture shock.
They make it seem like it's a regular thing. It's like, we just, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you do about the gators? They're like, we shoot them if they come in the house. Duh. I'm like, okay, well. And then I, since then, have had 4 floods. One that claimed my first car before I even got to drive it.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's fun. But yeah, so the Hurricane was a good time. It was fun driving around afterwards. Well, not fun, but it was interesting driving around afterwards and seeing how many damn trees fell over and how lucky our neighborhood got. So many trees came down, it like narrowly missed a car, narrowly missed a house, narrowly missed a garage, narrowly missed a pool cage. As a matter of fact, my cousin's truck was outside because he stayed with us, and there were 2 giant oak tree branches on the right and the left of this truck. Missed it by like about a foot on either side, not a scratch on the truck.
What a lucky bastard.
Yeah,
Wow.
I couldn't freaking believe it. We just didn't have any more room in the garage. We weren't being jerks, I promise. But have you put any, I'm curious, before we move on, have you put any more thought when you do successfully sell your WRX into what affordable vehicle you would be purchasing?
I have a little bit. Like, so I talked about, there's an app called Offers Up that is kind of like your digital garage sale app. It's actually really good. I love it. It's a great app. There's no website. It's just an app. You take pictures of your item listing and then you're good to go. And, it's just like that you had a yard sale. So I check on there a lot, and there's a lot of affordable cars. And several of my buddies are in the same boat you are, where they all have recommendations. So I'll get, little recommendations here and there. And the one that sparked my interest, but I'm holding back on going that direction right now, is a 2006 Super Impreza. It's literally like what I have now, just not turbocharged, and it's an '06, so it's a 2.5 liter versus the 2 liter. And my friend recommended it because he's like, these engines very well. You can work on the engines very well. It was like a '06 with like 130,000 miles on it for like $2,000. And at first I'm like, sold. I'm like, that is an awesome deal. But I said, you know what? I've had Subarus for the last like 10 years. So I'm like, we're going to change it up. So I haven't looked any further than that because I'm the type of person who's like, I need to sell my car first because I don't want to get myself excited about something else and then it's 6 weeks later. So that's where I'm at right now. Kind of all over the place, but kind of decided it won't be a Subaru.
Good, because Subaru and affordable are not words that go
in the same
together.
Sentence.
Yeah, you can go to literally any other, well, almost any other car. There's always an exception. Any other car the same year, less miles, so on and so forth, would still be more affordable than a Subaru at the same given year, including FRS and VRZ. It makes me so angry when I pull up VRZs and then I go to Kelley Blue Book and throw in my own damn FRS, and it's just like, if I had gotten a different badge, it would be worth more money, even though it's the exact same freaking car because people are dumb.
Yep. It's all brand. Yep.
Yeah. The only damn difference. But anyway, so I have a suggestion for you, sir. I'm gonna try and think of something every time until you finally decide on what affordable car you're gonna end up with. But I was thinking, I was like, if you're gonna spend like not a lot of money on a car, and you're not you said you were really expecting this car to last a year at the most.
I would say maybe like something that I can work on if needed for like a 3-year type of period. Like I'm okay with that.
If you need to work on it. Okay,
I mean, I'll drive it till it dies is what I'm thinking.
Then this still works if you're going to work on it. I was just saying,
Okay.
If this needs to last 3 years and you don't need to work on it, this is a terrible suggestion. But I think you should go. I think you should stay in the turbo family. I think you should keep things manual, and I think you should keep things stylish and go with a Dodge SRT4 Neon.
I probably wouldn't go with that only because I like the idea. Great idea. But at a high mileage turboed vehicle, I'd be concerned about where like the turbo would go or something like that. But I like the idea because at one point I looked at SRTs. I would say maybe, 8 years back, I looked at some SRTs. And that was when like everyone was getting the SRTs because, they were pretty decently fast back then, were easy to modify. But see, I don't know that I could do that because that's just going to put me down an avenue that I don't want to go again. The goal is to get a really nice car, luxury car at some point.
Come on, Patrick. I'm looking at a 2005 with 126,000 miles for under $6,000. I mean, how can you balk at that?
I'm looking for your next car recommendation. I'm looking between like 2 and 4.
Oh, 2 and 4.
That is kind of my sweet spot. 2 and 4.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for. So, keep that in mind.
All right, well, here's an 05 with 140,000 for $3,400. Asking price. I bet you could get them down.
Sold.
Oh man,
All right, keep the recommendations coming.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for the SRT4 because it was. I remember even in high school, before I knew much about cars, thinking to myself, why? Why is this a car? And now I kind of love them. I don't see them that often anymore. If I'm at a car show and there's actually one that someone clearly loves, it's well taken care of, it's clean. That's what I want to go look at because the holy shit, they have an SRT4.
Yeah, there's a yellow one actually in front of me on the way home today, and it actually sounded really good. It was like a yellow and black kind of two-tone style. It was pretty cool.
Nice. I see them every now and then here, and they're always like they're rusting out. They're not taken care of.
Yeah,
they're probably barely holding on to life. But anytime I go to Orlando and we go to a car show, Orlando is apparently where SRT4s go to heaven because I don't know why. But every time we're in Orlando and seeing cars, there's a bunch of pristine freaking SRT4s or insanely modified SRT4s.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. But that was my thought. Found it amusing. I just want to see you driving around in a Dodge Neon.
Yeah, whatever. Get out of here.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's move on to the news that has interested us since we last recorded. And I would like to start things off with the concerning rumor going around that Ford is discontinuing the Fiesta ST in North America.
I'm not surprised. To me, and here's why I say that. If you look at like the Ford Focus ST and the Fiesta ST, at a quick glance, they look so similar. Like the cars are very similar, except the Fiesta is just a tiny bit smaller and a little bit less aggressive in the styling. But I mean, there's two of them at work that park next to each other, and at first glance, you think they'd be the same car. So I'm not surprised. Like they're kind of in the same market. It's like Ford has two cars in that kind of same marketplace, and it's just really surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, were it me and I really had to choose between the two, I would go for the Focus. But it just makes me so happy that there is such an affordable turbo car out there. It's absurd how much you can get a brand new Fiesta ST for. And they just seem like a blast. I haven't driven one personally. I've driven a few Focus STs, loved them to death. I can only imagine if you just shed some weight, even though it's less powerful, the thing's got to be a blast.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have a boatload of power, and I think that's also kind of where it doesn't fit into a niche. Like your RS, your ST, your WRX, your STIs, your Mazda speeds, they're all kind of in that same market. And then the ST is completely removed from it. Like what other competitors do you have in there?
Well, something like the Honda Fit, which is a small niche, but you go and talk to Fit owners and they're extremely passionate about their purchase. Yeah. It's a car that I have never looked at ever. And then every time I get into one of my friends' cars that they own a Fit, they're head over heels for it. They love it. They love the way that the Honda engine performs. And I would say that the Fiesta is in that same class. And then you can go and get one that is turbocharged with a 6-speed. Why not? It's just fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ST and higher options are very expensive. You start to get in some decent money there. So as you said, I think affordable is kind of the point there. But I don't know that the ST is kind of where they wanted to go with that. Like with the Fiesta, I guarantee they're getting rid of that because the ST is like this much of their total sales.
Probably. I mean, you're probably right. I'm still sad about it though, because it's just, I love the idea of a car that affordable that is also that much fun.
Yes. No, I mean, understandable.
I also have an underpowered car that's a lot of fun, and it's a lot more money than a Fiesta ST. So the other thing is we talked a little bit about the Subaru STI RA on the show before, but I don't think we had a chance to mention that Subaru went and set a new 4-door record on the Nürburgring with it, but kind of not really, because the STI RA that they took out to the Nürburgring had almost double the horsepower and a slew of other modifications, but nonetheless, Subaru has set a new 4-door record, and you can watch the whole damn thing on YouTube from the driver's seat, and they have all of the interesting information that you would want to know, current speed, gear, G-force, etc., right there in a heads-up display, and it is entertaining, and it is not helping my desire to want to go and track either of my cars, which I'm still paying for.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I did hear about this in the community. That this did occur. It was kind of cool to see this happen. The nice thing about it, is it was an STI, but wasn't. The body still has that look to it. It's not super raced out. It was 600 horsepower, but it was on the 2.0 liter, which was really cool to see. Which is the traditional turbocharged flat four. It still had the 6-speed gearbox in it, so it did keep some of the traditional items in it. The article that we have here doesn't give us a full layout as to what else they did to it, because I'm surprised it doesn't have a built block and stuff like that, especially to handle 600 horsepower. I don't know all the details; it's not all listed. But either way, it's kind of cool and exciting. It builds a little hype around the ST RA. So I think it's a good follow up to what we discussed previously with the RA.
Yeah. Not making you go out and buy one though, right? If you could get the 600 horsepower version though.
That would be bad. That'd be bad news. Alrighty. So in other news, I thought this would spike some good conversation. This past week there was the Express Rally event on the West Coast on September 7th and over the weekend. It's kind of similar to a Cannonball event that was very popular about 10, 15 years ago. But it was very much a handful of big YouTubers and other individuals that covered the event. Smurf WX was there, TJ Hunt, Dustin Williams, which are big in the car enthusiast industry. And it's a cool event. It was for cancer, is where they raise all the money for. But I didn't want to get a ton into the event itself, but I wanted to get more into the conversation piece with Garrett here in discussing, would you ever do a Express Rally? So Express Rally is very much more of a lots of cool, fun cars, decaled up with sponsors of it, and they drive from venue to venue, long distance per se. And at each venue, they have nice hotels you stay at, and they have different things, like they went to the Porsche factory and different tracks and stuff like that. Or would you ever even do a Cannonball, which is a little bit more not legal in that regard? And the final question for Garrett is, what car would you drive if you could pick one?
Oh, good God. Okay, so I was not familiar with Express Rallies, so from what you told me, and that being the only thing I know about this, that sounds like a lot of fun. Of course, I would do that. Cannonball, if it is illegal, no. That just sounds like bad news.
Cannonballs used to be huge years ago, and it was very much a point system of you're racing from the start. So they did a New York one that was very big, all the way out to California, I think to LA, and it was who could get there the fastest. And there were checkpoints along the way that you would hit and stay overnight at, and at each checkpoint, depending on what place you got in, you would get points, and then they would crown a person at the end. But you're talking about like super fast cars. Yeah. As fast as they can drive, multiple drivers.
That's the plot of multiple car movies, also.
Yes, yes, very much so.
But yeah, oh man, yeah, illegal shit on open roads wigs me out. But were I to just do some sort of long form drive, which I have driven from Florida to California, and I did it in a 2007 V6 automatic Mustang.
Slow down there, Speed Racer.
Hey. That was a life experience I will never forget. And the only car I would have rather done it in, it was a V8 Mustang. But
very cool.
Yeah, I don't, off the top of my head, if I had to go on a long ass drive and pick a car off the top of my head, I'd still.
I mean, it's not super long because you have to remember there's multiple stops along the way. They weren't going like across the country, but it was like a few hours between each stop. It wasn't like, hey, drive 8 hours. I think it was like 4 hours per se, and then you stop and you enjoy the day. So it's not excruciating, but it's also something fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for stuff like that, I mean, I do that already. We go to Miami, which is a 3-hour drive. We've done it. Yeah. We've done that in the FRS, and we're planning to do it in the Mustang for Thanksgiving this year. But having now finally owned my first damn 8-cylinder car, I'd want to stay in the 8-cylinder. I love it for highway passing. It just makes me happy. And not to mention, my God, the suspension on the Mustang for long distance driving compared to that of the FRS, night and day.
So you would go with like the GT350 or something like that, or
or a Jaguar F-Type.
Okay.
Big. I love the F-Type. If I had
It
the
looks
money.
so good. It looks really good.
There's such sexy cars. Or if money was no option at all, I just go for the Aston Martin and let's do it.
Let's do it. I think for me, it would be a newer Porsche 911 GT3. They're very much the track-ready cars that are amazing, and so I'd probably rock that without a doubt.
You're going for a highway cruise. What the hell do you need a track car for?
Because there's open highway and speed to be had. So here's a question for our viewers. Email us. Let us know, mcarstuff@gmail.com. Let us know what you would take on one of these events. Let us know, kind of why and what would you take? I actually saw a Reddit post a few months back that discussed cannonballs, and it was this big, very lengthy discussions on what car would you take and why. And so people like strategize on weight and fuel economy and stuff like that. And so that stuff's fun. Like it's really fun to see people theorize on that type of stuff. And for the life of me, I don't remember the car they picked, but it was like this fast car, but also good fuel economy because it'd be less fuel stops. So I'll have to see if I can dig it up for next show to bring it up.
My gut reaction is a diesel Volkswagen.
There you go. There you go.
Like if that's what you're going for, I would assume like, well, you still get performance, you still get gas mileage.
Yeah. True,
I'll just take my old Prius. I'll have to fill up 3 times less than you.
Yes, very much so. But I'll get there 3 times faster, so we'll be good.
That's true, and you'll be smiling as opposed to me just palling around in my grocery getter.
So last thing I want to talk about before we jumped into emails this week was it actually worked out really well. I had an opportunity to drive a 2017 Ford Focus RS today. It's
Excuse
the Nitro
me,
Blue.
I'm coming to your house to punch you.
I know, right? So as soon as I drove it and I was done, I took a picture of it. Garrett was the first person I sent it to because like some time ago, Garrett talked about the ST so much. Now the RS is so expensive, and so at my company we get a lot of cars from Ford to modify, do install videos on, to advertise, stuff like that. And so we got the nitrous blue Ford Focus months back. I don't remember how long ago that was. I remember sending it to you, but it was quite a while ago. Well before you got your Mustang, because you were still looking then. And
that's when you were trying to convince me to buy a Subaru.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So this one is the Nitro Blue. It has the matching calibers on it, the big Brembo calibers on it, tinted windows, and then it has quite a few different modifications done to it. It's definitely not stock, but I got inside of it today, and I had never sat in one before. Very comfortable. The seats definitely hug you like a lot of the Recaro style ones do. But the one thing that stood out to me, which was really nice, was the layout of the gauges in the car. In the center console to the right, it kind of has the boost, how much PSI you're putting down, stuff like that.
I find it interesting that you like that. That's one of the most common criticisms I hear about both the ST and the RS. Is that
I like that because
boost gauge A seems tacked on and B doesn't really give you any information.
The statement you made there about doesn't give you any information is because the tax for the boost starts at 0 and ends at 30, and that's it. So it's like, right, come on, give me a little bit more accuracy.
So you have no idea what's going on in between. No. Vaguely middle is 15, and good luck in any other needle position.
So, like for me, I have an access port for my WRX, so I can see all of that real-time stats. So I can see, all my different options on temperatures, on boost, on current boost, on max boost, on this drive session, everything. So that was the first thing I noticed when I hopped in the car. I was like, oh, that's cool. The cluster looks really nice. It's pretty neat. And I completely forgot it was a 6-speed. So when I jumped in it, I was like, oh, this is really nice. But first thing that stood out to me, it does have stock clutch. Holy cow, talk about a hairpin clutch. Like, my clutch is sensitive. This thing is like that big, like super small.
I mean, you need to come for a visit and take you have driven a Mustang. It's very similar.
I've driven 3 of our Mustangs. Yeah. Like, I've driven here. It's definitely different. And so right outside of my office is a 2-lane highway, guardrail, no traffic lights. So I pulled out and just went to town on those gears, and that thing, I will say, I enjoy driving my car. It's fun, it's fast. That thing hauls ass. 450 is it stock?
350.
So 350 stock. This thing is heavily modified, so I have no clue what it's putting down right now. I mean, there
I was about to
is
ask if they tuned it to where you actually get boost in first gear, because stock from Ford, there is no boost in first gear.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not really sure. Either way, I had a blast with the thing. I was like, I got it into sixth gear, no problem, hauling down the road. But would I buy one? Yes. Would I pay the money? No. So probably not.
Well, hold on. Would you pay what dealers are asking, or would you pay the MSRP?
I probably neither. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so expensive, and I mean it's a very fast car. It's very stylish on the inside and on the outside. It looks super aggressive, but it's a lot of money for a Ford. Like just to say it's a Ford Focus, like it's a lot of money for a Ford Focus. Like
Yeah, I think it takes a certain buyer. For me, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, and even as a Ford fanboy, I'm not being like, oh, well, just because it's a Ford. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It is a freaking Ford Focus. This was the second car I ever had was a Ford Focus ZX5. No
Can you
power.
imagine your car then and then this car now? Like
Right.
in
But
the
the
same name.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a completely different beast. And for me, I am extremely attracted to the Focus RS of modern cars. Like without getting into my dream car, which would be going and finally getting myself a freaking Supra. This is the only other car that I would want other than the Mustang and the FRS that Katie and I have. I really love those two cars. This is the only car that would make me consider just getting rid of the Mustang. And I haven't even driven one. All I have done is I've sat in one and I've driven multiple STs. But for me, I'm so drawn to the fact that it's a $36,000 Focus that can embarrass more expensive cars and other cars that would, if you don't know what the car is, it's like, oh, it's a Focus. And then you take off and they're just like, what the shit was that? And yeah, I don't know. There's just something about, for me, the dork factor of hatchbacks, like with that, like the most face value, if you knew nothing about hot hatch culture, you just think of a hatchback as like, that's what the car the nerdy kids drove in high school. And I've always been drawn to hatchbacks for that reason. I also like that they're actually somewhat practical. And the RS is just, for me, it's just one of the most unique cars out there right now, coming straight from a manufacturer. That just nothing like it. And also Subaru is screwing up hardcore by not offering a hatchback.
Yeah, Subaru's kind of been all over the place recently. I mean, the new body style, removing the hatchback. I mean, as a Subaru fanboy, I follow that very closely a lot with like the unveils and stuff like that. It definitely reminds me of something like, it fits right in that niche of like where the Evo was. The Lance, think of it, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. Where that kind of was years ago, where it was a semi-affordable car to a degree, but it would embarrass other cars. And with very little modifications, you could open those suckers up. And that is exactly what this is. I mean, you're seeing people just put like downpipes in on these things and exhaust and a tune, and they are opening these suckers up hardcore. So when I see these on YouTube videos where there's like street racing going on with like Supras and Corvettes and STIs, and they are doing work. It's very impressive to say the least. But yeah, we'll keep track of it. There's a very small chance, but a chance. Next month, I will be in Las Vegas during SEMA, one of the largest car events in the United States. And I think that'd be fantastic for the show, for content-wise, things to talk about and stuff like that. So I'll keep you guys updated next episode to see. Our company has just a new facility out there, and there might be a chance I'm going out there. So I'll let you know.
Nice. Well, anytime you bring up an RS, I'm going to light up because I love this car. And I'm drawn to weird performance cars. I mentioned the SRT4 off the top of the show. I have a soft spot for those cars because they're freaking neons. It was my wife's second car, was a Dodge Neon. She always pined after the SRT4s, but never got one. And it's the same thing. It's a freaking Focus, but it's a 350 horsepower all-wheel drive Ford Focus. I want one. I really want one. We all do. When these start showing up on Auto Trader for under 30 grand, if that ever happens, that's going to be hard to walk away from for me.
The hard thing too, for me, like shopping at that point, is like, okay, that is going to be at that point where it's like, okay, what else can I get brand new that's all-wheel drive, turbocharged. But then also at that point, it's going to be hard to find ones that haven't been beat to hell. Because I'm sorry, like when you drive that car, you drive that car. Like, so as me as an owner, I would probably beat that thing pretty hard because I'd want to get my money's worth, and it was super fast. So to know that you're buying that, that would be my concern. Would be like, okay, within
that is absolutely
5 years
something to consider. Like, is the $5,000 to $8,000 discount, if you can even be lucky enough to find one that's listed for like 36 grand. There are a couple that have been popping up brand new, 36,000, like the actual MSRP locally. Yeah. Is it worth that discount?
Yeah,
probably not, but you don't know. But yeah, I don't know. If I ever saw that, that'd be hard to walk away from.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Anyways, all right, let's take some emails. Again, the email address is mcarstuff@gmail.com. Matt writes in and he says, "Hi, Patrick and Garrett. First of all, love the podcast. I've been on the fence for a while about getting a quote-unquote fun car, something I can go fast in and just have fun in place of my current daily driver. One of my biggest hangups, though, is the long list of problems that people on forums /Reddit /car shows, etc. seem to develop over the life of the car. I worked in a well-known chain auto parts store in college, and throughout my time there, I paid attention to what cars seemed to have the most issues, how easy which cars were to work on, how available were the parts for the cars, and how much different cars cost to maintain. With that knowledge, I ended up with a 2008 Toyota Corolla S with the snooze fest 1.8 liter i4 1ZZ FE engine with a daily commute of 70 plus miles. Yeah, seriously, holy crap, man. This car made a ton of sense. Yeah, I can't really argue with that. Now, though, I find myself wanting something with some go to it, though it will be hard to part with the 35 miles per gallon. Does modifying a car to fulfill that desire open me up for more issues down the road? And should I be worried about that? How do you weigh the benefits of modifications against any durability or longevity issues? Well, as someone who has never modified a car and is talking out his butt on this subject, my belief is that if you have a 70 plus mile commute, that modifying your car sounds like bad news.
So I have a 60-mile commute every day. I will be the flip side of that.
You've been doing this a while, though.
What's that?
You've been doing this a while.
Yes, I have been. So I drive 32 and 30 back. And about a few years ago, I had a 2007 Toyota Highlander. And when I got my new job, or a little before that, actually, about a year before that, I went, okay, I'm driving X amount to and from work, and it's fine, but I want something fun, which is kind of, I kind of saw myself in some of your points that you made. I want something fun that I'm driving to and from. So I talked to my wife about it, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for something fun. I drive all this time to work. And she's like, go for it. Like, absolutely. Like she encouraged it. And so I went with the WRX, good gas mileage before you modify it. And a lot of fun to drive, all-wheel drive, turbocharged, 5-speed, so it was good. So I feel a lot of your heartache, your concern about that. It all comes down to where your wallet is, I think. If the gas is a big factor, then I probably would stick with where you are. I probably wouldn't go modifying your car, the Corolla S. It's just it hurts a little bit inside when I see people taking these, and I'll be honest, slower cars and just like throwing a few modifications on it. And yes, they sound faster, but they are absolutely not faster in any way. So I would recommend, finding something that's fun. Find that 5-speed, find that turbocharged, or find that all-wheel drive car that doesn't break the bank. Maybe you can get that car and not modify it, and it'll still be fun. Because once you get the modified bug, it takes over you, and you want to continue with it. Longevity issues with modifications and stuff like that, it all depends on the quality. I am the believer that I try to buy the best quality modifications for my car. I don't go for the cheapest, hence why my exhaust was like $1,800, where you could buy them for like $500. Yeah, but it's because I have the NVIDIA G200 titanium tipped, exhaust. Like, it is fantastic. It sounds amazing. I'm not worrying about rust or anything like that because I'd rather have the better quality parts for my car. It's so easy to just buy the crap from AutoZone or Pet Boys or a cheap site online, and it's
Hey man, you mean nice AutoZone? They kept my Honda Accord running for a long time.
So that would be my thoughts. What about yours, Garrett?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same boat. Like when I was car shopping and when I was trying to figure it, because I was in this boat a little while ago, except I don't have a commute, which is why it was a lot easier for me to say, yeah, screw it, let's just get the GT, because gas mileage is a moot point. I just drive it on weekends for the most part, and to get a coffee or to meet my wife for lunch, on an odd day a week, I didn't really need it. In fact, it was the stupidest financial decision I've ever made in my life. But I wouldn't. When I hear mods, and especially him, he's talking about something with Go on it, like the first thing my brain goes to is forced induction, because anything else you do is just going to make it, like you said, it'll make it louder. You can put an exhaust on it, make it sound better. You can put new wheels on it, make it look better. If depending on the tires and the width you go, it will make it perform better from a turning and a grip aspect. But you're not going to make the car faster. And if you're going to do that, you're going to go to forced induction. And by all means, go ahead and slap a turbo on your Corolla. I'm not judging you, but if your goal is to have something fun and reliable for a 70+ mile a day drive, I can't imagine you should start here. That you should, like, this is your first project. Like, okay, let's slap a snail on there and hope it works. Like I would trust you, Patrick, because you've done it before, but I don't think it's probably a smart idea for your first time ever modifying a car. It's probably worth going out and finding an affordable car, probably with more miles on it, that you're not going to drive a lot, to tinker on and learn from.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many options out there. Mazda 3 is a good option, with a few miles on it, which will be a lot of fun to drive. Turbocharged. So I think that's the avenue you go. I think you're ready for that next step. Yeah, it's just now starting to look. Is what I would do, and find something affordable, but find something that's reliable still, so the mileage isn't through the roof. Like, you don't look like what I'm looking at for like a $2,000 car with 130,000 miles on it. Like, I probably wouldn't go that route.
No.
Try to find something that's used. And then kind of go that avenue. But keep us in the loop. Let us know, kind of what you decide or what are some options. I mean, feel free to email us in and say, hey, here's 5 cars I'm looking at considering. This is why I would get each. What are your thoughts on it? I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I really do think we're in a golden age right now for fun cars for your money. There's so many options for 4-cylinder turbocharged vehicles that you can get relatively new. We talked about
Ford Fiesta ST.
We talked about the Fiesta ST today. The Focus ST was brought up today. The RS is not in that category. Don't even look that direction unless you're rolling in money. If you are rolling money, just get the RS. Problem solved. Any of that. The Hyundai Veloster, man, you can pick those up with turbos. I know people have very strong opinions about Hyundai. I happen to think if you're selling a 4-banger turbo for that amount of coin, who gives a crap? It's a fun car.
I drove one of those the other day at Enterprise. I got a rent-a-car. It was a yellow one. It was a blast to drive.
Was it a turbo?
Yeah, I hit the gas, and it definitely wasn't as fast as what I was expecting. Granted, I'm used to my car, so it might not be as fast, fine. But it was a blast to drive. You could zing around in that sucker. It was fun.
It's a very popular car in my area, and for whatever reason, it is probably, at least in my own anecdotal experience, the most wrapped car. There are so many badass looking, like, matte wrapped Velosters running around Sarasota and Bradenton up here. I don't know what it is. There must be a Veloster club that I'm not privy to because I don't have one. But there's
something cool, little insight. Over the next few months, we're gonna start to be able to wrap cars at work.
Ooh.
Like we're gonna have like the giant plotters and everything like that.
One of these days, I'm going to come up and cash in all the favors, all of them.
That's right.
All right, I want that. Right. I want it wrapped blue because I wish I could have found a blue Mustang. And while I'm here, let's look at the parts.
That's right. So let's jump into our last email for the day before we head out. This email is from Tom. It says, hey, boys, it's Tom here. Got a few picks for you to look at. I don't know if you'll read this in time, but my local dealer just took in a 2011 WRX in on a trade. Let me know what you think. 80,000 miles. They're asking at 17,900. I don't know what all's done to it. I think it's hitting about 15 PSI. Comes with winter tires. Right there, when I read 80,000 miles and $17,900, I'm like, God, I love these cars and how they hold their value. I mean, you're looking at a car that is a 2011 So 6 years old.
I love
has 80,000 miles.
I love the difference between you and I, because I look at that and go, I'm buying any car but a Subaru for the rest of my life.
I know, right? 80,000 miles, and they want 17.9. First off, that dealer is out of their mind. Okay, you could probably offer them 15. And at the same time, looking at some of the pictures, so it has different rims on it. It is wingless, which is known in the Subaru community where it's just a regular trunk. There's no Subaru lip on it or anything like that. Looking at the motor, the guy's done a little bit of work that I can see to it. It's got the Cobb short ram intake system, which is actually what I'm running on my system. And then I just see you have a Perrin radiator shroud and a Perrin alternator shroud on it. Other than that, from what I see, everything looks stock. Some big things that stick out: stock intercooler, stock blow-off valves. So the person wasn't a moron. A lot of people try to replace the blow-off valves on these, and there's no real need to. They just do it for sound, and they don't keep in mind the tune on it. Other than that, looks good. He's done a little bit on the external side. It's got a black front lip to it. It's got some accents on the hood scoop, which got like a flat black. That actually looks really good. And also on the side. So overall, it looks like they've done a good job. Something else I'm noticing, they have done exhaust on this. It actually has a Perrin exhaust system. I can tell by the tips that a picture of the muffler. I don't know if there's a downpipe or not. And the inside is very clean. Looks good. It has a Cobb short shifter in there, and it has a Cobb access port. So everything that I see from the pictures is legit. It's good parts. We were just talking about good modifications earlier in the show. Without knowing more, I would hope it would have maybe a downpipe on it. It's a little more expensive, but you get the best out of your car, because if it has a downpipe on it, then it's actually considered a stage 2. And you're actually putting down more than the 15 pounds of boost that you're discussing on it. You can check that on the access port. But here's the thing that works in your advantage. So it's 2011, 80,000 miles on it, and it's a modified car. So you could go to a dealer. Dealers don't want these cars. This came in on a trade. Dealers don't want to touch these with a 10-foot pole because they're modified. So I would recommend that you offer them much less. They probably want to move this car as quickly as they can. They can't do a lot of warranty on it or anything like that. Because the fact it's modified, not much is left on there. So I would probably go in there starting at maybe even lower, like 14. It's a used car. Used cars you have much more play with, in negotiating. I don't know what they would have offered this guy. Maybe 15. I don't know. But
Kelly Blue Book says you could get between 12 and 14 trade-in.
There you go, 12 and 14. And then, granted, this one is in very good shape, so it helps out a little bit. But then it's modified too. If you went in asking 10, or 12, they'd probably laugh at you and say no, thank you. But I would say start at like 14 and go from there. Things to look for: the clutch. What's the clutch like? If your foot just slips to the floor and barely there's any pressure, I probably wouldn't look in that direction. As I told Garrett when Garrett was looking at these cars, you need to get a boost leak test done, and you need to get a compression test. If either of those fails, if the boost leak test fails, the installs done by this individual were not sound, and I wouldn't probably touch it. If the compression test fails, just walk away. That means the motor is not sound, there's damage to the motor, and so I would walk away from that, absolutely. Other than that, if you find out more modifications to it, let us know, and I'll tell you if I like them or not. But thank you, Tom, for emailing in. Do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Garrett, any input?
No, don't buy a Subaru. Buy any other car, because, good Lord, 2011 with 80,000 miles with any other badge on it. My God.
That's all right. Put a Honda badge on it. Bam, you're at 8,000. Get that sucker out the door.
Also, I can't think of any 2011 Honda that's probably as fun to drive as a WRX. So I will say that. I like Subaru. It's just the money for a used Subaru boggles my mind.
Mind blown.
Especially after I talked to my good buddy Patrick, hey Patrick, what happened to your engine again?
It had a rebuild.
What happened to the engine in the most reliable cars?
That's right. Yeah. Hey, it just had a rebuild, all right? That's all.
Yeah, you just had to rebuild your whole engine because a belt failed.
It only cost $6,000.
Yeah.
But, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on the belt in the FRS. That's what I'm going to be doing. Because that engine's got a Subaru logo on it. Oh, that's fantastic. Folks, everyone, thank you for your emails. Matt and Tom, both of you, keep in touch. Let us know how your car hunt is going. And don't listen to me. You want a Subaru, get a damn Subaru. Patrick, before we go, where can folks find you? You're doing a lot of other things around the web.
Sure, definitely. Twitter, Instagram, check me out at Octane Pro, SCII. And then on YouTube, all my WRX install videos, dyno videos, everything like that is on youtube.com/dailydrivenwrx. What about you, Garrett?
Folks, I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art, 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett. I trust you know how to spell art. And every other podcast that I do can be found at amove.tv. That is AMOVE.tv. And they're mostly video game shows. I do have a non-video game show I'm doing right now called Embrace the Spoilers if you enjoy things like Game of Thrones or the new It movie that just came out. We're over there spoiling the living crap out of them. And I shouldn't have to warn you that there's a spoiler alert for any topic broached on that there podcast, but go listen to it. It's called Embrace the Spoilers. It can be found anywhere podcasts can be found. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Mostly Car Stuff. Until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.